Hey, what is the deal, family? I'm back after a few weeks. So I'm about to do a tutorial on how I started up in the arrangement view for Ableton. So this tutorial is specifically for Mac Joseph. This is for Mac Joseph. So Mac Joseph, I'ma teach you how I do the arrangement view in Ableton. Now the Ableton that I do have is Lite. I don't know which Ableton you have, but this doesn't have to necessarily just be for Mac Joseph here. It could also be for other people who hasn't, learned Ableton. But the software came with my Elisa's keyboard. That's how I got this. But yeah, anyway, let me get to this tutorial. I'm gonna try my best, like I told you in the comment section below. So, okay, here we go. How you could use the arrangement view. You could either hit the tab button to go from arrangement view to the other view. Now, this is the arrangement view here, but what you could do is if you want to insert another MIDI track or another audio track, you can right click and you could where it says insert MIDI track, another one to pop up. And if you don't want it, you could either you could go to this and you could cut it, or you could go to the edit. Well, I haven't did anything yet to even go to the edit, so you could cut it from here. And if you want another audio, you duplicate it by doing the insert audio track, and it'll do the same thing as the MIDI track. But there's a difference between the um, the audio audio track and the MIDI track. Basically, how can I say this? I really haven't gotten my terms down for it yet, but all it is with MIDIs. I'm sorry, with audios, you could do audios. I guess you could say they mesh with loops. Same for MIDIs too, but sometimes depending on what sounds you have, some won't fit into the audio and others won't fit into the MIDI. Oh, I'm sorry if y'all hear a bunch of sniffling and things. I'm getting over a sickness. But yeah, anyway. So here's the thing. Okay, so I've showed you how you could insert another MIDI track and another audio track, or how you want to cut it. That's how you do it. And so now, since you have a MIDI track, well, since you have both MIDI and audio tracks, what you could do is, once you get ready to put something in, before start putting MIDI notes or anything in, you you highlight this part where it is at the MIDI track, right click, and you will hit insert MIDI clip or Control Shift M. And there you go. You done highlighted something, and you can stop at whatever count you want. And you could do the same thing for the MIDI track. And the good thing about this is, I'm glad that they have different colors. That way you can distinguish what instrument from what melody. You know what I'm saying? You'll be able to distinguish what is what, so that you don't get confused, because they're all the same color. Especially when it comes to arranging, you wouldn't want to, you know, mess anything up if you have a melody. If you have a built-in melody already, and also, so then that way you won't be shuffling, because you can mess up one pattern because you have another pattern because they're the same color. And yeah, you just keep doing the same thing. But with mine, I can only go for, mine is limited to 8 scenes. I only have 8 spaces to be able to do anything with. Like I said, this is the Lite. I don't have the standard. I don't have the suite. I don't have those. I'd have to upgrade to those, but I'm seeing that they have an Ableton 10 out already. Like I said, this is the Live Lite. And so also, when you get ready to arrange, um, you could just find something And then what you can do is once you find the chord, once you can find the chord you want, you just uh, uh, click and drag. You could click and drag it in there. Waiting on it to load. And then you can hit here and just adjust the volume to how you want it to be. I don't have my keyboard currently because it's elsewhere. But you can use your computer keyboard, but I know how much of a headache it'll be for you to use your computer keyboard compared to the regular MIDI, especially if you have a compact or if you have the bigger keyboard, like a 49. I have a 49. I have an Alesis VI 49, and I love it. But but you could do the same thing. I think you could use samples in the audio. Um, but like I said, this is the best. This I'm teaching you what I taught myself. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say what I taught myself because I looked at other YouTubers too. But this is the way I learned about Ableton. I mean, not only have I worked with Ableton, I've worked with Machine, Native Instruments. I've worked with others as well. Um, so yeah, but this is the longest, and this is the software that I've ever worked with for the longest. But yeah. Oh, and also this is these buttons here. I guess you could say it's a mute. So if you don't want to hear anything from that, you could just click that. If you want to hear any other sound that you've arranged in any of the other spaces, you just click that mute or the pan switch, and you could concentrate and get your melody out however you want. I'm not good at really explaining explaining things. I'm more so of if I type it out, then things can come to mind just how I expect them to. But I'm doing this for you and other people who don't know anything about the arrangement view. And so yeah, you could switch from this view to the arrangement view. I forgot what this view is called. I'd have to look at more tutorials myself, or I could just type it in Google and stuff like that. And I know I'm babbling off, but yeah, this is how I've learned to use things. Oh, and these three here, I love this button right here, and the master. So this is the reverb, the delay, and the master. The master volume is the volume for all of the spaces being used up, and you can also fade out your beat that you plan on using however long it is. I don't know, but if you have lots and lots of sounds, you shouldn't really have that much of a problem. But yeah, it's pretty simple on how to use the arrangement view. It's not that hard. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you've had it for a certain amount of time. I would say it's been a year since I've had this software. And I've learned over time how to use this. It's not hard, but this might be by far the best I could get you for. So you see how these these audio clips here, if I didn't want these, I could just cut both of them off. And then again, I could do the same thing. Left click, right click. Oh, did that a little bit too low. Oh wait, I don't even think I can do that. Okay, but yeah, that's all. That's all you really have to do is just insert the MIDI clip for the MIDI track and use whatever you gonna use. I might put a few notes in here just for the fun of it. Where's my metronome at? Okay, I'll just probably keep it on 120. Just insert a few random notes in here. I know it's not gonna sound right. And I'm double clicking to put the notes in. So I know, like I said, I know it's not gonna sound like anything, but yeah. See, ain't nothing barely coming out, but I'm not going to too much worry about it. And you could also pull this up a little further, and you could zoom in to see your notes. You could also you could zoom in and zoom out. You could also do it this way, vertically and horizontally. Oh, horizontally, I said that all wrong. Um, so yeah, and you could practically you'll be able to see what keys you have more better, and you can also extend the note if you want it to be longer or if you want it to be shorter, and then you can zoom in even more if you want it to be a little offbeat. Sometimes you have to humanize a few things, you know what I'm saying, to show that you actually did this instead of using a mouse all the time. Because what irritated me was when I didn't have a keyboard at the time and I was making beats and whatnot. I always used the mouse for everything and everything was repetitive. But when you have a MIDI keyboard, boy, do things change. I tell you, things change like crazy. And also you have your drums and your drum racks, drum kits, all that. So if you wanted to insert a drum kit in here, you just click and drag. Okay, I'm gonna have to make another MIDI clip. So I'm gonna make another MIDI clip and make another MIDI track. I'm sorry, and drag this in here. And once you click and drag it, it should pop right in, just like that. And you'll have all your sounds. You'll have all your individual drum kit sounds right here in this corner. And all you'd have to do is just hit the record button. Oh, and that's another thing too. If you don't wanna if you didn't wanna click and drag, then right click and insert MIDI clip, you could just hit the record button and stop at whatever time you wanted to make something. Like I'm gonna show you this right here, and then it'll start making the MIDI track for you. And whatever time you choose to stop at, you can stop it right there. Like I'm gonna stop at 9 once it is done. See? So if I wanted to make an 8 count, all I had to do was just hit the record button and it would have made the 8 count for me while I was putting in the melody or whatever instruments I planned on using to make a beat before putting the melody in, or vice versa. I don't know how you work or how any others work, but the way that I used to work was it used to be drums first and then the melody. But then after a while I started making the melody first and then put the drums and the bass and kicks in last, because I seen that I could be more versatile with the melody while there is no drums, kicks, bass, or any of that. When I did have it at the time, my melody was repetitive. I'm like, okay, something's got to change. Something has to change here. I'm sick of the repetitive stuff. But yeah, that's another way of doing it. But you still right click and cut it if you don't like it. And what others do too is they'll just record over the pattern that they didn't like or what they messed up on. And you could do the same thing, like I said, with sounds as well. And it seemed like with MIDI clips or MIDI tracks, most of the sounds tend to go with it. You know what I'm saying? So, oh, and not only do you have your drum racks and drum kits and stuff, but you could click and drag something down here just like it is with the drum kit. So if you wanted to use an effect, if you wanted to use an audio effect, you could say for example bandpass spinner. You could take it, drag it, and you could drag it right down here with the sound that you have. So I'm gonna just click a mallet and just drag that down. And what'll happen is, if you have a melody in with this mallet, basically this sound tends to, I don't want to say drown it out or suffocate it, But you know how those little radios sound when you cut it on and it doesn't have that much quality in it. Like I don't know however else to describe it. But if you have Ableton and you go to the audio effects, you'll see what I'm saying when you hit the audio effects area or the MIDI effects. And also this could play a point too. So if you wanted to use a pitch for something, you could do, I mean, practically whatever you want with it, but all that's really happening is the key is changing from neutral to minor, neutral to major, major to minor, minor to major, etc., etc. And it all goes the same for everything else as far as for pitch. Now there's the there's the minor 12, major 12, major 24, and depending on how you use it with everything else. Basically, you could be creative. Like, you could be creative with just about anything. When it comes to the audio effects, me personally, I love the audio effects because it doesn't have to be original. It doesn't just have to be the original sound that you right clicked and dragged into it. And also clips, just these are just basically like patterns. They are simple patterns that you could change up. Also, and not only that, but you could click and drag these too. Do the same thing, and it doesn't have to necessarily stop at where it is. So I mean, quite honestly, and you could drag it out to however long you want it to be, depending on how long you want it to be. And if you wanted to edit it instead of having the same pattern, you'll go to the top here and you see where the little circle is here, where the black highlighted bold rectangle is. You zoom in and you can go over. And if you don't like the same pattern, all you'll have to do is basically highlight. You can highlight it, right click, duplicate, or you can right click, copy, and if you wanted to paste it elsewhere, you could also do that. Let's just see how this sounds since it's random. Just randomly in place. I don't think this gonna sound right. Well, it sounds just about the same to me, because I haven't really did anything major. And if you wanted to zoom in some more, you can zoom in as much as you'd like, and it doesn't stop from there. It gets smaller, smaller. So if you wanted to get more detailed about what you're cutting into, if you wanted to, you could cut all this out. Bam. Just leave that part out, or go to the edit and undo, and you'll have it right back in place. You can zoom in even more or zoom out. And there are two ways that you can zoom in and zoom out. You see how the I don't want to call it a parentheses, but that bracket right there, you can zoom out or zoom in with the bracket or the circle. But I would definitely prefer using the circle, because with the circle, you can zoom in as much as you want until you get to this type of line. And yeah, it's a lot that you're capable of in this in the zooming area. And I'm gonna just delete this whole thing because it's not necessary. But I'm gonna try to find another pattern. I'm gonna try to find a good pattern. Okay, I guess I can use this one. And I'm a, oh, and also what you could do is you can loop the selection to repeat it. All you'd have to do is right click, and where it says loop the selection, you just click loop selection. And then you can zoom in. and you go see just how original this pattern is. And if I wanted to change things up a bit, okay, let's just see how this sounds. So let's say I didn't want this ending part, this very ending part. I could just cut this out, and then you could just have this. Or I'm gonna do that back again. Let's just say I wanted this part to repeat. I could take it and highlight it, duplicate it. Now I'm coming out with something new. And I could do the same thing here. Let's just say I didn't want this. Say I didn't want this here. Or I can undo that. And let's just say I didn't want this here. Take that, cut it. And see, you could be capable of doing anything. And then, once you're done with that, you could either duplicate this whole thing by left clicking and highlighting, and then you right click and duplicate, or you could change up this pattern to the original pattern and shuffle it. You could really do whatever you want, and it'll stop, and you could just use this here and expand it to make a longer clip. But it's all the same pattern. It's all the same pattern, but like I said, you could zoom in, and again, you could change things up a bit. So let's just say let's zoom in some more. Go here. Let's just say I wanted this part multiple times. I could duplicate it probably 3 times. Here, let's make it 4, just to see how it sounds. Okay, see how this sounds. I'm just being random with it. Now, if I was really focused on trying to make a good beat, I wouldn't be here doing this right now. That doesn't sound right, but you get my point. You catching my drift. So practically you do all of the same thing, not only with drums and things like that, but I'm gonna try to see if I can find a sound for you and do the same thing. Where's my favorite at? No, can't do nothing with that. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Here we go. So let's just say you wanted to make something with this particular sound. I just picked this sound because I like it. I like it a lot. So here is what I'm about to do with this. If you didn't, oh, and also, I forgot to tell you, if you don't want it in this particular key, you double click and you could transpose it. You could transpose it. So if you didn't want it in this particular key, what you could do is you'll click this, transpose it down to 4, however long, however low, or however high you want it to be. But me personally, I'm a minor key chick. So you could transpose it, and you could also switch things up. I'm going to put it back in the original key. And you could zoom in and do the same thing. But I'm going to play this out. And I'm going to see what I'm capable of doing with this. Let me slow this down. And you can slow up the metronome. Okay, so let's just see. What can I do to change things up? Maybe I don't want this. Just put this right here. Probably split this. Let's just see how this sounds. Let's get a little more versatile. Just see what happens here. If I duplicate it, and if I copy and paste it here. And you do the same thing with melodies as well. You can zoom in and get those detailed parts that you want if it's not where you want it to be. Especially if you want to humanize it. Let's just do this here. And let's just see how this sounds. Like I said, it's a tutorial, nothing really special. So let's just see what happens. Let's see how this sounds. And see, I know it doesn't sound right, but like I said, you could shuffle it, you could do anything with it. You could copy this part, put it here. It's so much you could do. You could be versatile with all of your melodies, with any of your melodies or any of the looped beats that you have already. And then you could just hit backspace if you don't want to right click and cut. And if you want to play something, you just hit the space button. If you want to play something, just use your mouse, hit the play button. If you want to stop it or pause it, space button. It's so much you can do. And the raw materials, I love my raw materials too. Um, these clips, and then you had the samples here. And I'm thinking you could also transpose with these too. Yep, you could transpose your samples as well, even if it's just a one hitter or if it's just a one shot. You could transpose your one shots as well. So if you didn't want it in the neutral key it's in, you could major it or minor it. Like I said before, I'm a minor type of chick. So I don't know, just that minor keys make me happy. And I'm trying to get into detail as much as I possibly can with this. So I'm hoping that you understand how to use it. But if not, there's other tutorials. There's other detailed tutorials on how to use the arrangement view if you want to look at those as well besides mine. I want to thank y'all for watching. And let me know if I missed anything. You know what I'm saying? Let me know if I missed anything or if I need to go over anything else. But in the meantime, talk to y'all later. And I will see y'all another time. Goodbye.